Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Sunday, the 30th day. It's the 30th day, 30th day of March 2025. It is the fourth Sunday of Lent. It is the 20th, 21st, 22nd day of the Lenten season. On this fourth Sunday of Lent, I happen to be in Newbern, just on the Trent River over here, which leads into the Neuse River, which leads into Pamlico Sound. So on the coast, but two confirmations, one yesterday, one today, here in Newbern. So good to see Newbern Yacht Club, nice little boats over there. And again, a cloudy day. Is it going to rain? Is it not? It's all going all over the place today. So kind of nice to be a little bit on the coast today. So, but this fourth Sunday of Lent passed again. We are past the midway point of our Lenten journey, counting from that first Sunday of Lent to the afternoon of Holy Thursday. And in the cycle C of Luke's Gospel, we have the great story of the prodigal. Again, the prodigal son. This great story of reconciliation, this great story of a return of one that was lost, and of the feast that happens because of this great return of this one son who was lost. There is also then the son who is unhappy that this happened, and a son who felt left out of the father's affections, even though he had served the father, all his life, it seems. So it's a very complicated story. It's not just one of reconciliation. It's one of a family that still needs a lot more healing to be accomplished, and a lot more understanding, perhaps, to be developed between all members of this family. So kind of just to take a look at it. So this reading is matched with the first reading from the book of Joshua, in which God tells Joshua to tell the Israelites that the reproach of Egypt has been lifted. No one is coming after you anymore. No one is trying to destroy you. You are mine. I am now leading you into this land, filled with milk and honey, this promised land for you. The manna stops, and the people, again, are able to eat of the produce of the fruit of the land. God's promises have come true to them, even though there was difficulty over all that time in the desert. Again, the 40 years in the desert to basically get rid of a generation that did not appreciate what God had done for them is now ended. And so again, God wasn't going to work with these people who weren't going to work with God, it seemed. And now this new generation goes forward to be able to inherit, again, the promise of being a part of the life of God, once again in this new land that God is now returning to them, that they have been taken from. So it is a promised land in one way, but the land was already promised to Abraham long ago, and it was because of famine and other kinds of things that they decided to leave it and then end up in slavery in Egypt. Again, a complicated story all around. The gospel of the prodigal, again, it's important to look at this. Okay, why does the son want his inheritance? The younger son want his inheritance? Well, he wants it to party. He doesn't want it to make a name for himself. He doesn't want it to succeed. He doesn't want it to do good. He doesn't want it to do any of those other kinds of things. He wants it for selfish reasons. And once all those selfish reasons have run their course, again, he recognizes that he's in dire straits and he's herding pigs, and no one is giving him anything to eat, it seemed. Again, if you don't take care of your employees, nobody's going to get done. But I guess you could find another swine herder if this one's going to not work out, or this one's going to die, or whatever it is. And so you have this whole kind of situation where this kid then wakes up and says, even my father's servants have a better life than I do right now. I'm going to go home. I'm going to tell him I no longer deserve to be called his son, and that I've sinned against heaven, against you, and let's see what happens. Again, my contrition will make his heart melt, and he'll take me back. Well, again, kind of selfish too. It's like, again, is there real contrition in this son's mind? He's woken up to a fact, yes, that he's in dire straits and he wants it better, but is there true contrition that he never should have asked for this inheritance this early on, or anything else like that, or squandered it, or whatever it is? So it's never really clear on that end, but the father doesn't care. The father doesn't care. The father runs to him when he sees him on the side, on the horizon, and embraces him, and again, sandals on his feet, ring on his finger, give him the finest robe, kill the calf, let's have a party, let's have a feast. Now, in the artist Rembrandt's rendition of this, it's a very solemn kind of encounter, and it's painted with all kinds of shadows and dark colors and dark imagery, and it's again this whole kind of thing where the seriousness of reconciliation and the fact that you need to be contrite to be reconciled to God, or whatever it is. Yeah, well, yes and no, depending on how we read the story, but that needs to be contrast with I think his first name is Bagesi, is his last name, an Italian artist who does not paint the reconciliation only Day with the Father, but paints also the getting together for the feast. There's a cat being brought in. People are already dancing. It's vibrant colors. It's very bright. It's very Italian as opposed to the Dutch in some ways. But again, what do we focus upon? Again, the reconciliation or what the reconciliation leads to, and that's kind of important. This Father's love for the Son, knows no bounds, and will not, he will not waste time, letting the Son, moan and groan about, some kind of fake apology or whatever it is. He just embraces him because he is back home. He was dead, as he says, but now he's alive. The older son, again, is another kind of story. It's like, why didn't he get even a calf to celebrate with his friends? Even if he was faithful to his father all the time. Did he never ask for a party? Did the father not really recognize? And the father's kind of excuse, you are with me always, and this son who was lost is now found. Well, is that enough of an explanation for this? Is that enough of an explanation? Where is the love for the older son? And this is the whole kind of question. Does the older son not see the love? Is the father incapable of giving the love or correctly, or has forgotten how to give the love correctly? Does the father say, I love you too many times and not mean it? So this is where the thing is. It's really a story about love. Again, connected with Joshua. Again, it's God's love that brings these people, even though there's a time in which, a whole cycle has to go through of them. God doesn't destroy them. God basically hopes that they'll come to their senses, and they don't eventually. And a new generation has to take their place to go into the promised land. But still, it is God's love that guides them. In the same way, in this prodigal son, it's not about contritions and reconciliation. It's about love. And how do we understand that love? And what does that love expose us to or open us up to? What do we forget about when we don't remember love? What do we fail to see when we don't remember love? These kinds of things are important questions to ask during the season of Lent, because they all connect with that second question to ask ourselves during the season. Why is it that I believe? Why is it that I continue to believe? Even in a world that's crazy, even in a church that's crazier, even in ways in which this church doesn't deliver what it says many, many times. How do I still remember that love is at the heart of this? And where can I find this love and experience this love and embrace this love? I continue blessed Lenten day. I continue blessed Lenten season, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.